Hello, Steve White, Trek 89 for Steve Arts 89, Star Trek's Alleged Gatekeeper. So, TrekMovie.com has the big sort of headline that Strange New Worlds is, like the biggest hit of Paramount Plus and all that. And I must admit, it's something that is just becoming a reality on some level. It's something the haters are not happy with, and I've been pointing out to them that whether you like it or not, New Trek has enough fans to sustain itself. Clearly, it's sustaining itself. If it wasn't making money, if it wasn't doing well, if it wasn't getting some views, it wouldn't still be on there. They wouldn't keep making new shows. There's only so long you can do that for political reasons or for to save face and so forth. When you get to this point, it must have its own fan base, and it does seem, after years of sort of being rejected by actual Star Trek fans, it does seem to have generated its own more politically focused, fan base. Which one of the things that sort of has occurred to me is Star Trek. The original Star Trek worked on different levels, and there are different Star Treks for different people and different groups. And being an original Star Trek fan, a Star Trek purist, I sort of took it on a very deep level, and I haven't since seen that replicated. None of the new shows have gone that deep with the show, and I found them all lacking. But I understand a lot of people who watched the original show didn't see past the basic science fiction adventure and so forth. So they look at the new shows and they don't see they don't see anything missing. They don't get the issue. They don't get the problem. They just sort of see a new Star Trek show and they enjoy it. And some people, same thing so far as quality science fiction writing and science fiction stories. A lot of people very much adapted to the next generation's drama in space sort of approach that they sort of brought in the third season. And they just feel like they've just progressed on that, and now the show is just all a melodrama in space. And that has its own merits, and I respect that. I understand the writers are trying to do their own Starfleet, totally free of toxic masculinity and any of the old militaristic sort of models that used to sort of be in Star Trek. And I get that. I understand that it's not just bad writing or immature people who can't write that are just, making a mess of Star Trek. These people have their own version of Star Trek that they want to create. It's not totally representative of the original Star Trek and the Star Trek that I want to see and have yet to see, and I still hope to see, because there are people like Terry Matalas who do seem to have a clue, who seem to be getting Next Gen on track. If someone else could come on to Strange New Worlds or create a new show that actually tries from the beginning to really get the heart of Star Trek and the overall sort of meaning and the utopian universe and all that Gene set up, and bring it into the future intact, that would be very nice. We're not really doing that. But I just went on a total tangent there. But I am aware that there is an audience for Star Trek, for New Trek. And although when you read the article, they are stretching to make this, as big as it is. Like they point out that it is, in the headline, it is the most watched Paramount Plus Star Trek original debut, which just means it's gotten more views than the other Star Treks. Doesn't mean it actually got a lot, just means it got the most out of all the rest, which makes sense because out of Discovery and Picard, it is the best. It does look the best, and I can understand it doing, the best. And also, Paramount Plus is, spreading and being, put in other countries, and it's growing and getting more and more subscribers. So naturally, the new shows they release are going to do better. So there's that. But they are straining a little bit. They pointed out that it was the most watched original series in the franchise. They act like it's the biggest series in Paramount Plus out of all the shows they've got. No, it's just the biggest out of Star Trek, which doesn't mean it as much when Picard was horrible and Discovery had a lot of problems. So, yes, it's doing okay. It was apparently the second most watched show in the UK, which is a bit more solid so far as a statement. The series took off on a strong start internationally, ranking as one of the top 2 most watched original series on Paramount Plus in the UK. That is actually a real achievement. So it is doing okay. So the haters just have to acknowledge that. I'm not a hater, so I'm not going to just pretend like it's failing when it's not and go around making up stories and slamming it because that suits my narrative and I'm that immature and hateful. I don't totally enjoy the fact that this different version of Star Trek, which is not as good as the original and doesn't work on the same levels, is doing well in place of the Star Trek I'd like to see on the air. But I do understand it is a different Star Trek, and there is possibility for them to make my Star Trek as well. It'd be nice to see that happen. And what else did they say? They bragged about the 43 million subscribers globally that Paramount Plus has. Apparently, it's gotten sort of grown the most out of all the other, because it's a big race now between, which streaming service can grow the most. And, we just had Disney take the throne from Netflix by like 300,000. So they've got 221 million, whereas Netflix has 220.7 subscribers, and they lost 1 million, whereas Disney gained. So it's interesting. And they do just basically just brag about the show. And another thing I caught was they said the power and strength of our franchises existing and new was on full display this quarter thanks to strong performances from Star Trek Strange New Worlds, 1883 of the Yellowstone universe, and our latest South Park special, South Park The Streaming Wars, as well as Halo, which has become a top driver globally for subscriber acquisition and engagement. They're talking about Halo being a top driver, not Star Trek, but they're trying to put that quote in and act like they're talking about Star Trek. If you read it really carefully, they're actually talking about Halo. So they're being tricky. They're trying really hard because it's doing okay, but it could be doing better. And they're trying to make it look like, it's the biggest hit ever when it's just doing okay. But the reality is it is doing okay. And unfortunately, the hardcore Star Trek fans, the purists, the real Star Trek fans who missed the old Star Trek and were hoping this would die, need to accept it's not dying, it's not going away. All we can hope is that in this whole plethora of Star Treks, all with different tones and styles made for different audiences, as they said, they make one for us. That's the most we can hope for at this point. Yeah. That's all I can say. I should read that actual quote. I think that was from... because we had quotes from Tanya Giles, who's basically just saying the world has embraced the new Star Trek and they're thrilled how well it's doing. Bob Backish was the one who said about the franchises being drivers, including Halo. And the last quote I was looking for, yes, this one stuck in my throat a bit. But this is from George Cheeks, who is CEO of CBS. Over the past 6 years, Alex Kurtzman and his amazing team have brilliantly created and carefully curated a new Star Trek universe for Paramount Plus. At least he's admitting they created a new universe. They haven't expanded or continued the old universe. They created a new universe because it is a whole reboot universe. At least they're acknowledging that. Not officially, but, sometimes they don't think when they speak. With 5 complementary series, each different in tone, style, story, and in some cases, target audience. Each series is a success in its own right, and now the franchise's newest edition, Strange New Worlds, is earning critical acclaim and delivering notable performance achievements on the service both domestically and internationally. We look forward to the franchise's continuing journey on Paramount Plus here in the US and globally, where in the case of Strange New Worlds, we're just getting started and Season 3 is pretty much guaranteed. Season 2 is already filmed and going to be screening early next year. And they go through a list of all the places it's showing. It's available to stream exclusively on Paramount Plus in the US, UK, Latin America, Australia, South Korea, and the Nordics, and airs on Bell Media's CTV Sci-Fi channel and streams on Crave in Canada. Paramount Plus has previously announced the service will launch in Italy in September, followed by launches in Germany, Switzerland, Austria, and France in December. So there we are. There we go. That's where we're at. it's doing well. It's not going anywhere. They're trying to make it look, like a bigger hit than it is. But most networks, most stations, that's what they do anyway. But if you look closely, you can kind of see when they're, playing things up a bit. But yeah, I begrudgingly accept that it is doing okay and it's not going anywhere. And I just really wish the haters would just accept this and stop making up lies and exaggerating things, because then it's clear they're doing it for a political agenda and for a personal narrative, not because it's actually the truth. When I was complaining about the issues with Star Trek Discovery and Picard, they were there. They're still there. We've got different issues with Strange New Worlds. They're not as bad. The show is doing better. And like I said, it's not going anywhere. We need to just deal with that. But I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Thanks. Bye.